Hi everybody and welcome to the user persona training, and you should have access to this document which is at the bottom, which is a blank document which you can print out. You can print multiple out if you really need to, and it's a document for creating your user persona. So for those of you who don't know what a user persona is like a fictional character that will almost represent a typical customer of yours. Now, normally, user persona wise, we might have 2 or 3 different types of customers, which is why you've got 3 templates here. Sometimes there can be more and sometimes they can be less. I would never just use one because you've got to think about their different types of personalities. So when you look at their personality, you've got to kind of understand, say people who like McDonald's, for example, there isn't just one type of person who likes a McDonald's. They're not all extroverts or all introverts. And similarly, they're not all business people. But what we need to actually try to understand is what are the majority of people who would buy from us? What do they think? How do they feel? Like, what are their goals in life? What are their frustrations? What types of traits do they have? What types of brands do they like? So where would they shop? What magazines would they read? And a quote would mean something, what is this customer likely to say about your particular product or service or your niche? And you can do a little about section. Status, are they married, are they single, their family, 2 kids, 3 kids, no kids, single, location, where are they based, their age, and what's their job title. And then you can stick a picture on there if you wish, and also give them a name. And the reason why I like to give names to user personas is it's because it makes it a little bit more personable. So what you should do once you've done these is you stick them on your wall and you really get to know your customers inside out. So every single decision that you make, whether it be a decision for a new flyer that you're creating, a financial decision, a new product that you're bringing out, because you're going to get to know your users, not just once, but you're going to keep understanding and building on that knowledge. And remember, we're taking an agile approach to this. So you're constantly going to be learning from them. Your learning is going to evolve over time. And because of this, you're then going to get to know them even better, to the point you can actually look at them and say, what would so-and-so do? What would John do? What would Mary do? Just as an example. Now, sometimes a tool that I like to use to create user personas as a baseline. So this is just a simple starting point. Once you've actually got your personas, you actually need to see if your personas fit well with your actual customers. So once you've created your personas, when you start actually putting out your hook to generate leads, what you want to do is you then want to analyze, are these people who are coming to me and who are interested in my product or service, are these people one of these people in my personas? If not, do I need to make some tweaks to that? So as a baseline, I like to use this website called 16personalities.com. I think it's a really, really great website because it breaks up the different personality types that there are. So you've got your analysts. So analysts, I'm an analyst, but it makes me really good at lead generation and also user research, is because I really like to understand and make sense of what I'm doing. And if you can adopt an analytical personality type for your lead generation, then you're going to have a great success. So the type of mindset that you need to have with this is one of an analytical personality. You need to ask questions. You need to be asking why quite a lot. You need to be inquisitive and curious, and not be one of those people that comes to the table necessarily with ideas, but comes to the table mainly with questions, because a person who comes to the table with questions is always going to be keen to learn more and is always going to learn a lot more than those people who think they know it all already. And if you're that type of person who has an idea and just wants to run with it, then it might be time to take a little bit of a rain check and say, actually, could I be learning a lot more? And could I actually be doing a lot better if I actually became more inquisitive and tried to understand my users a bit better? And this is going to really understand. This is really going to help a lot more, because what we want to do is we want quality leads. We don't want to be approaching people. We don't want to be putting hooks out there and getting in all these people and then realizing, oh crap, like these aren't the people that I wanted. So as an example, I used to work with a coach, and this particular coach wanted to work with entrepreneurs, and she really wanted to coach the entrepreneurs and offer therapy for like work-related stress and anxiety. But every single time she put a post out there, the people who she was attracting actually were more single mums. Now, you can do one of two things at this point. You can either see that as an opportunity and maybe I need to readjust who I'm targeting, or you can take another approach to actually do what you want to do. Now, I always find if you've actually hit on a market accidentally, I would kind of run with that if you feel comfortable in doing so, and if you think that it's going to be a success. Because I've done this before, again, I was in my own head and I was thinking, no, I want to do this. And as a matter of fact, something I came across accidentally worked even better. So she went on to actually creating more of a hook, which was along the lines of, approaching single mums. And she created her personas around single mums. So taking that as an example, she was approaching single mums. She had to kind of say, right, what types of personalities am I going to work with on this? So am I going to attract people who are like a defender personality type, the sentinels, very dedicated and warm protectors, always ready to defend their loved ones? Or am I going to attract those, overly caring people, social people, always eager to help? And why this is important is because when you actually start to create content, and I'm not talking about content as in like blog posts, but this can also work for that. I'm talking about content just on social media posts, because that's how you're going to generate your leads. When you follow this training through, I'm going to go into more detail on exactly how you do that. But when you put your posts out there, I'm going to call it a hook, because your hook is always the headline that you're going to create to draw people in to your product or business or service. So that hook, that you might have many different hooks that you use, but your hook needs to really resonate with your user. So somebody who's got a defender personality type to somebody who's got a console personality type, somebody who's very social, bit like the entertainer personality type, they're very social people, always very energetic. Your language in which you use is going to reflect that of an entertainer or of an adventurer. So you're going to speak their language. So what you're going to do is, without them realizing, you're not going to say, hey, I'm looking for entertainer personality types, but you're going to speak as though you're talking to an entertainer personality type. And by doing this, you're going to extract the entertainer personalities or the adventurers from your social media without even realizing. And when you actually get to understand personality types a little bit better, I can approach people now and say, are you a da-da-da type of personality? And they'll go, oh my God, how do you know? And I know it because it's the way they think, it's the way they are, their personalities. And we're getting to understand them on a deeper level. Now, if you have two or three, you might have a mediator, but then you might find an executive. And this all comes from your research. What you would then do is you can approach this in a couple of different ways. You can approach it with having a hook for a different type of personality type and play along with those hooks, or you could integrate all three. And this is where testing comes into place, because you don't want to guess at what the right thing is to do here. You want to actually test it. We're taking a user-centric approach and we're always testing, because we want to get those quality leads. We don't just want people who are going to be one-hit wonders, or it's just pot luck, or it's a fluke. That is not a great way to run a business. You want predictable income every single month. So you have to really know who it is that you're targeting when you put your content out there. So for a project that I was doing, the different types of personality types that I was following was that of a campaigner personality type, and which one was it now? And the entrepreneur. So I combined these in my messaging, and it worked so well. And this is where your accuracy becomes absolutely spot on. And do you know what? I absolutely love. I mean, look at her little stick waddling there. Absolutely love this website. When you click on them, so click on. This is me, by the way. I'm a commander personality type. So same personality type as Steve Jobs. We make up less than 1% of the population. So go to strengths and weaknesses: efficient, energetic, confident, strong-willed, strategic thinkers, charismatic, and inspiring. And obviously we have a lot of weaknesses as well, as do you and your personality type. So you can actually take the test. This is really quite fun to do. Take the test. It takes about 10 minutes and you can learn about it. Now, one thing I want to kind of also make very clear to you is just because you're a specific personality type doesn't mean it's absolutely spot on. Your personality type can change depending on what situation you're in. So your personality type at home might be slightly different. You might become more extrovert when you're at home than when you're out in social groups. You might be a bit more introvert, but you will have a generic personality type. But you can become a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on what situation you're in. And if you're like me, I've had a lot of life experience, especially for my age. And what I've learned to do is a lot of the things where my weaknesses are, I've learned to manage them really well and actually not necessarily change my personality, because some of our personality is, genetic. But what I've been able to do is be able to adapt myself into different situations to have, the most success with clients, to have the most success in relationships. Personality types, if you really want to become successful, really understanding other people is a really great way to start. And that's why I love doing user research and creating user personas, is because not only can you use this for, creating and understanding who your customers are, you can start to use it when you're actually messaging your prospects too. And I go into a bit more detail on something a little bit similar to this later on. But what I want you to think about is when you're talking to somebody, you might be talking to somebody who's really an introvert. And to be able to empathize with them, to be able to build rapport with them, you have to understand them. If you don't understand them and you're just like, well, I'm amazing at what I do, I know what I do is amazing, great, and whatnot, then you're going to kind of burn a lot of bridges. So I love to do this when I work one-on-one with people. They take a personality test because it allows me to serve them better. It tells you who your celebrity personality types are as well, who are the same personality as you. You can actually talk to them better. You're going to be able to build rapport with them better. You know what their weaknesses are. So for example, let's go to a weakness of executive personality type. They find it difficult to relax. So if I'm a therapist, say, and I'm offering a product that's going to help them to relax, we know that they find things difficult to relax. So these might actually be quite a great people to target. But we also know they've got this thing about social status. So actually, when we talk to them, it might take us a little bit longer to get to their core, to really get them to reveal their pain point, because they might be putting on this mask and they might not want to reveal too much because it might affect how they're coming across. And again, they have a difficulty expressing emotion. So if we know this already, and we know our user persona is an executive personality type, then we have to really think about how are we going to build rapport with this person when we start messaging them. Now, on Facebook, users are going to come to you. That's the method I teach. I don't like to inbox people on Facebook. My method teaches people to come to you. LinkedIn's different. LinkedIn, we approach people. It's a completely different platform. I find it's okay to do it on LinkedIn and approach people because it's a business platform. It's a platform where people are already expecting to be contacted. However, on Facebook, I see it more of a social platform, and it's more like a coffee shop than a business meeting room, for example. So in a coffee shop, we would take a different approach. So this is where you can actually start to explore the different personality types. Have some fun with this as well. It's like a really, really great tool to use. And it's a really great starting point for creating user personas too. So I hope that was helpful. One thing actually I might show you is, okay, so this is some user personas that I've created before. This was for a client who I worked with last year. And what I do is when I've created user personas, I put them into a really nice document, because if you want to grow your business and you are going to become successful, and I hope that's what you want to be, it's great to be able to share this with team members. So we have an objective of why we're doing it. And these were, so you might know the company. So the company is called doTERRA Essential Oils. So I worked with, in creating doTERRA Essential Oils. They're a multi-million-pound essential oil brand, and they have a website platform. And with this website platform, they were wanting to actually understand, well, who were their users? So they would have advocates, the people who were promoting their products. And they would have 4 different types of personality types who were the advocates. Then they had the wholesalers. And then they would have the customers and the retailers. So there was many different personality types. So when I did this, we were creating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hang on, my maths is absolutely crap, 9 personality types that we were doing. So we had to go through and understand what all the different personality types were. And this was a great starting point. So this gave me the understanding of the personality type a little bit better. But then what I had to do is I had to take this information, and then I had to delve a little bit deeper. So I'd do some user personas, but then I'd also be doing some user research, getting some statistics, really understanding the market essentially, and then how to market to them. And then the doTERRA customers. So, this was one of multiple documents that I created for the company. And once you've got this starting point, and then you start to work with your user personas directly, you're going to be able to tweak this information. And remember, everything is always changing. So what one persona feels one month, they might be thinking differently in the following months, because new technology is coming out. We're evolving constantly. You don't have the same thought processes and feelings that on one thing 1 month and then have exactly the same feelings to it 12 months later. Things change all the time. So once you have this as a starting point, use it regularly. There's no point in creating it and then just saying, oh, I did it. I found out what I wanted, and everything else now I'm kind of using off the top of my head based upon the information that I've got. If you think this information here is enough information, you've got it completely wrong. This here is like building an acquaintance. You don't want to build an acquaintance. You want to build relationships. So to build a relationship, think about how you can get to that deeper level quickly, and not just have them as acquaintances. Have them as proper friendships. Get to know them like you'd know your partner, a family member, a really, really close friend. Because at the moment, and this is something I teach in the Traffic Accelerator, I teach you how to build these relationships and go even deeper. But at this moment in time, I'm just getting you kick-started on a basic level. So the rest is up to you. So I hope that was helpful.